Good morning. Okay, awesome. Go ahead and get started. I think you can probably hear me from there. Have a seat. Happy Saturday. Let's just come to a comfortable seat and let's get centered first. If you want to even center on the earth, we're going to start. We're going to do a really grounding practice. So we're probably not going to get off the ground too much. It's probably good that we're at this angle too, since I'll be directing you from back, and I've not done that on a Zoom before, so we'll give it a go. So if you have any questions, you can type it in. I'll keep my eyes peeled. Welcome to class. So take your shoulders up by your ears and give them a nice long squeeze, and then just let them drop. You're going to do that 2 more times. So squeeze even longer than you think, and then just let them drop. It kind of just is like wringing out your tension spots here with your own body. And this last time, take the shoulders back and down. You can shake out your neck. Since we are doing a little more of a grounding practice, if you want to put your palms face down. Otherwise, if you're feeling more open and receiving, you can have your palms facing up. But since we're doing some grounding work, we will have the energy going, palms down. Let the elbows come along the side body. And then as you start to breathe, think about bringing your spine into alignment. So what I mean by that is usually in our Western society, we are leaning forward, we're on our phones. So try to bring the shoulders over the hips. And it might allow you to elongate the crown of the head just so the chin is slightly tucked. So that way there's like, if you were thinking about stacking the vertebrae on top of each other, it would be all lined up. And then just softly close the eyes and relax the muscles around the face and start to tune into the rhythm of your breath. Just inhaling fully and exhaling fully. All the way to the crown of the head, and then as you exhale into the earth. And if you want to visualize as you're breathing, you could even think about as you exhale, anchoring your tailbone into the earth. And then just come into awareness. And what I mean by that is as you're breathing and scanning the body with your breath, just kind of observing if there's any places that feel maybe a little tight or sticky. There might be some places that feel very light and easy. And there might be some places that are neutral. So if your breath meets like any type of those sticky places where it kind of feels like it gets stopped, think about directing your attention to that area, maybe pretending that that area has its own set of lungs. So then on your next inhalation, if you want to do a forceful exhale, like a or even audible, you can do that. Sometimes I like to just imagine using the breath to sweep those cobwebs from the body. So then as you're scanning the body with breath, you also just come into the mind and just to acknowledge where you're at today. So regardless of what's happened before now, what's going to happen later. And anytime the mind gets caught up on any little story, just bring the attention back to the breath, back to the body. Let's bring our palms together in front of the heart. And maybe, so the thumbs and the pinkies press evenly against one another. The thumbs rest into the sternum, but the sternum rises to meet the thumbs. So there's this little like buoyancy that's happening. And in this little small place of your palm, if you want to set an intention for your practice, that can be really powerful. And what I mean by that, it could just be to be present. It could be to be in the breath, but it could also be for gratitude or compassion. We're just letting it be one word. So that way when the mind begins to wander, which it always will, you can bring yourself back to your breath, back to your intention for your practice, excuse me. So whatever that is for you today, just hold it in your mind and your heart for a moment. Then we're going to inhale together fully. And then as you exhale, just bow the mind to the heart, sealing your intention, release the palms, bring the head up slowly, open the eyes brightly. Yay. And we're going to start off on the back. So if you want to roll down onto your mat, take a sip of your tea, coffee if you want. And once you arrive there, go ahead and hug the knees into the belly. You might even want to do a little bit of Apanasana. So hands onto the knees, fingertips pointing to the toes. As you inhale, the arms straighten and the knees fall away from you. As you exhale, knees into belly. So we're linking the movement to the breath. As we inhale, knees fall away, exhale. Really squeezing all the air out. That's what Apanasana means, actually. I think it's like wind releasing posture. So, you know, you get it. And then if you're feeling like you need to row the knees or wanted to get into the inner groin or anything like that, what you could do is start to, as you inhale, as you exhale, start to kind of make some circles with the knees. As you see, when I say rowing, it's like I'm taking my hands out, down, and in on the exhale. And just moving slowly as such for a few rotations before we switch to the other side, or the other direction rather. Then once you feel like you've even on both sides, we're going to take a nice long stretch onto the mat. And even stretch out more into like an X shape. So taking up all the space, but then letting the back of the skull press into the earth, letting the shoulder blades be down. So the shoulders still aren't coming by the ears, but there's still a tendency for that to happen. And then as we're in this X shape, we're going to come into like a crescent shape in our body, but on the back. So it's like a supine crescent. So it's going to make like a banana shape. So I'm coming from an X shape, and I'm going to take my right foot towards my left foot. Am I just leaning over? My right wrist will lean over to the left. And I can even grab that right wrist with my left hand. So if you're standing up, it's going to be looking more like this, but you're on the ground. So it's like a little banana shape. If you want, you can cross that right ankle over your left. But the idea here is that we're keeping both shoulder blades down on the earth. If you need to bend your elbows more to make space for your neck, that's totally okay. And just breathing into the side body. And then from this banana shape, we're going to come into what one of my teachers would call a banana tree, which is that we're coming into tree pose supine on the back. So I'm taking that right foot now, and I'm bringing it to the inside of the left thigh, letting the right knee drop out to the right. So the tendency here is for the inner groin to grip. So if you need to place like a blanket or a pillow underneath that thigh, that might be helpful. And just breathe. And take one more full breath. And then we're going to bring our spine into neutral position. So we're keeping that tree posture and everything is kind of staying the same. Now, this is where it kind of can get tricky. So we'll pay attention and see how it goes. So I'm bringing the left knee into the bodies. So I'm hugging. But that right knee is still out to the right. And it might even start to point a little bit down as I set it down. So it's like my left foot is in bridge pose. This gets tricky. Right foot behind the left ankle. So I'm grabbing that with my left foot. So what it looks like is this type of shape as you're on your back. What this does here is we're opening the psoas. I was almost like, forgot what that was called. But the tendency here is to either grip in, not unfurling the tailbone. There's always some type of gripping happening in the shoulders or jaw. And just see if you can relax into the space that is the earth, right? So you're being totally held by the earth. And there's a tendency sometimes when we're tight in some muscles to kind of grip in some area. See if there's some place that you are gripping and see if you can release or relax in any way on your next exhalation. Sometimes when we start to open the hips, our jaw will tighten. So just kind of make sure you can do a horse breath or pretend to chew a really soft piece of gum. Sometimes that is helpful. And then we'll hug that left shin in. Relax the jaw. Take one more full breath here. And then we're going to come into a supine twist. So I'm just taking that left knee across the right body. Now, if this doesn't work for your low back, you can open up both arms with the palms facing to the ceiling. You could always take stacked knees, which would be a lot easier on your low back. So if you're having any type of strain or just kind of feeling a little, you can just stack the knees. Sometimes it feels good to put a pillow in between the knees just to keep the hips square. Soften that left shoulder blade into the earth. Exhale. One more full breath. And then we're going to come back to center, hug the knees into the belly, and do a couple of Apanasana here. I don't think that my microphone is hooked up, so I just want to double check here, and that way I'll double check the chat also. There, you might be able to hear me a little bit better now. Just making sure. Then we're going to take that same X shape, taking up all of the space on the mat. Now we're going to come to the other side. So now we're taking that crescent over to the right or to the opposite side. So maybe my left ankle is coming towards my right ankle or crossing over. Now I'm reaching for my left wrist with my right hand, maybe bending those elbows so that both shoulder blades can stay on the earth as I breathe through the left side of the body. Neck can be in any position here. So those are crescenting over. So the tricky part here is that your hips will want to kind of roll up, and we're trying to keep the hips on the earth so that we're really using that lateral stretch for the side. And then from here, we're going to come into that banana tree shape. So I'm taking that left foot into my right thigh, letting the left leg open out to the left like tree, but it's like a crescent tree, if you will. And you might even notice here, like one side might be a lot tighter than the other. And this is pretty normal as far as like what side is more dominant, like where do we carry our groceries, our backpack, our laptops, our purses, things like this. One more full breath here. And then we will bring the spine into neutral position. We'll take that right knee in. And then as we set it down, the right foot's like in bridge pose. So the knees are pointing up towards the ceiling and the foot is planted on the earth. Now with that left foot, I'm reaching with my right hand or your opposite hand. So now the knee is kind of pointing more towards your bottom foot, if that makes sense. The short end of your mat versus where it was kind of out to the left before. Relax the jaw, opening the psoas here. And then we're going to hug that right shin in. So you can also hug behind the right thigh if you can't reach the front of the right shin. Soften the shoulders away from the ears, relax the jaw. Maybe pretend to chew a soft piece of gum here. Notice any place that you're gripping in your body and see if there's a place you can relax as your next exhalation leaves your body. Take an inhale here, and then as we exhale, we're going to come into that supine twist. Arms open up towards the ceiling, palms up. Maybe the gaze goes towards your right thumb, doesn't have to. And then of course, if you took the stacked knees variation on this side, you'll do on the other side, you'll do the same on this side. One more breath. And then back to center. Hug the knees into the belly. Now, if it's all right with your spine, you're going to hug behind your knees and you're going to give yourself some spinal rolls, maybe catching yourself in Navasana, boat pose. If this doesn't work for your spine, we're going to meet in a tabletop position. So just cross up the ankles and we'll come out into all fours. So your wrists will be underneath your shoulders, your knees will be underneath your hips. You can have your toes tucked under if you need to stretch your feet, or you can be on the tops of your feet. As we inhale, the belly drops, the nose goes towards the ceiling, but I am not crunching the back of my cervical spine. Exhaling, cat pose, chin to chest, belly button back to spine. So we're moving to the rhythm of the breath here. Inhaling, belly drops, tailbone spreads up towards ceiling, exhale. Chin to chest, belly button back to spine. And we're just moving with the breath as such. Now, I would like to invite you here to maybe softly close the eyes and ask your body what it wants to do, because we're moving a little intuitively. So what I mean by that is maybe you want to make some circles with your hips, get into the inner body. Maybe you want to link those and sink it back to child's pose. Ask your body what it wants to do and then do that for the next few rounds of breath. All right. The next time we come to a neutral tabletop position, we're going to come into what's called thread the needle. So I'm going to bring my right hand slightly to the middle. I'm going to lift my left arm up, and I'm keeping my hips square here. So taking a twist, and I'm kind of feeling it in the upper thoracic spine, so this part of right where your sports bra would hit. Inhale here. As you exhale, we'll weave it through. So I'm coming down onto my temple. I'm on the bottom half here, but I'm keeping the hips square, so I'm drawing that left sit bone back. Now, there's a few things you can do with this top right hand. You can place it on top of that left hand and press in to feel a twist in your upper body. You can also use your fingers tented up here to kind of find a little twist in the spine, or you can walk the fingertips more towards the crown of the head, like past the crown of the head. Relax the jaw. You could also extend your right leg straight back or out to the right like a little kickstand. It's up to you. But think about the space between your ear and your shoulder here, allowing yourself to feel the support of the earth, relaxing. Sometimes there's a little sweet spot on your deltoid, which is right there on the outside of your arm. You might find a little sweet spot. You can breathe there as long as you need to. But if your arms and legs are extended, we'll bring them back in. Use the strength of your right hand to press into the earth to release that. Left hand, shake it out. Come back to tabletop. Inhale, cow pose. Exhale, cat pose. Just rinsing the spine. And then we're going to do that on the other side. So I'm going to turn around so my back won't be to you. So now my left hand's coming slightly to the middle. My right arm lifts up, but I'm squaring my hips here. So I'm finding the twist before I even come through, and then we'll weave it through. Taking whatever variation you did on this side to the other side, extending the left foot back if you need to, or out to the left like a little kickstand. Then with your arms and legs coming back in, press into the earth. Straighten it out. Inhale, cow pose. Exhale, cat pose. And then from here, keeping your hips over your knees, you're going to walk your fingertips forward, coming into puppy pose. So you can have your forehead on the earth, or you can try to get your chin down. Let's see what this. Okay, wonderful. Just read the signs. You know, I thought I was missing something. And so the idea in puppy pose is that we're breathing into the back part of the back part of the back door to the heart here. So maybe sometimes with the allergies and the weather changing, it feels good to rock from your temple from side to side. This can massage any sinuses that you may have going on. Take one more full breath here. And then slide out onto the belly. Told you we weren't going to get off the ground too much today, but that's okay. That's what some people, you don't even realize you're doing the yogas and you're not taking too much effort. So that's what's the beauty about it. Grab opposite elbows. So here we're going to come into a Sphinx pose. So elbows are directly underneath the shoulders or slightly in front. I'm opening the palms up exactly like parallel. And what I'm trying to do here is you're thinking about spreading the fingertips out and drawing them back. So I'm rooting through my pubic bone. And I also should note, feet are about hip distance apart. If you have any low back stuff going on where you need to protect your low back, I would recommend taking your feet a lot wider. So allowing the big toes to root into the earth and even the pinky toes, if that makes sense. So it's like my knees are a little bit lifted and then I can really root into the pubic bone. What happens here is that creates space in the low back and the sacrum, so that way you're not compressing that. That's sometimes the biggest problem or complaint that you might hear in these postures of like back bending, like compressing the back. But if you're engaging in the front body and you're feeling the support of the earth, then you feel the support, so you're not feeling like, oh, my back is just crunching out there in space. Inhale, reach the crown of the head towards the ceiling. Bring the heart forward like you're doing a mini back bend or a cow pose here. And then as you exhale, look over your right shoulder. Make sure your toes are still back there. Inhale to center. Exhale over the left shoulder. Inhale to center. Exhale. Squeeze the shoulders, drop the head. Oh. We're going to do that again. And then we're going to open up the groin and the hips. Hopefully it'll just be ladies in here, but we'll see how it goes. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my left forearm and I'm bringing it parallel to the front, the short end of the mat. I'm taking my left hand and I'm kind of making a little, like I'm watching TV or something. Taking my left leg out to the left, knee at hip distance, foot flex. So this is like a half frog type of thing happening. If that makes sense here. So you can, actually I think I should be twisting the other way. Okay, sorry. Right forearm parallel, left elbow in front, and then you twist. Ooh, yeah, that's where it is. So the idea here is that you're still rolling the inner groin towards the earth and feeling rooted in. Now the tendency here would be to grip in the glutes, grip into the inner groin. What you can do here is flexing the left foot will help protect the knee as you roll in. So it's not like you're just chilling out, right? It looks like you're chilling out, but you're not chilling out. And then I'm even rooting into that right toe pad here. That's helping me stay pretty active in this posture as I just breathe into the inner groin and into the outer hip. I actually got a little, I popped my back just there, but I don't know if you can hear that. One more breath. Release. We're going to take that to the other side, so I'm going to turn around so that way you can see what I'm doing here. All right knee out to the right, foot flex. And then I have my left forearm parallel, my elbows in front, so I'm kind of like resting my hand. And then if I was watching TV, if I had a TV.
So the idea here is that, see, I'm just like hanging out. This is me not really doing anything. And then like if I roll the hip in, like so I'm rolling the groin towards the mat, soften the jaw here. And you're getting, it's kind of like you're becoming a little corkscrew and you're twisting your spine ever so lightly to give yourself a little twist. Rooting into the top of that left toe pad. And then you're gripping in your glutes, your inner groin, you probably are relaxed. And then we'll unwind. So that was kind of like a half frog-ish on either side. We're gonna prep for like a regular frog, but this posture should be noted that it's not easy. So I'm gonna show you from the front. So we did the knees out, right? And the idea with that, the foot are flexed, the inner foot, right? So you can come down onto your forearms here. You can be on your elbows. You can do that thing where you press your thumbs right into that little crease of your nose and your face. I mean, your nose is on your face, but this part right here on your forehead, a little pressure point. So you're here, and like sometimes people like to put blankets, like if you were on a hardwood floor, that would be like, ugh, pretty intense. So take it to your level here, just kind of opening up the hips, relax the jaw, frog pose. This pose is really good for low back stuff. It's kind of underrated in my opinion, and a lot of people hate it, so I think that's kind of why it gets left out a lot. But when we open the hips, which are emotional junk drawers of the body, just observe what's going on and what comes to mind as you breathe, and see if you can give over anything to the earth with every exhalation. And then we'll kind of walk our feet back, coming into this like wide child's pose. Bring the knees together. Tuck the toes. We're going to come up into a forward fold. So maybe you're at the bottom of your mat, maybe you're at the front of your mat. Go ahead and take your first forward fold. Maybe your feet are hip distance apart, spreading the toes, grabbing opposite elbows, shaking the head out. We are not locking out the knees though. So the idea here is that we are, the tendency is to lock out the knees and sink the hips back and hang into the joints, right, in the heels. But I want you to micro bend the knees so that you're drawing the sit bones directly over the heels so that you're breathing into the actual musculature versus just hanging into the joint. Does that make sense? So I realized you couldn't really see my mat. Work the angles. Yes, much better. Inhale, come up halfway. So you could keep your fingertips on the earth or have blocks. You can also bring your palms to the shins, which I like to do to keep the connection to the earth. Reaching the crown of the head towards the front of the room. Exhale. Folding everything in. Inhaling, connecting everything. Shoulders away from ears. Reaching with the crown of the head. Now my gaze can go up, but I will not be crunching the cervical spine. You'll notice that there. Exhale. Hold. Once again. And fold. This time bending everything, just rolling everything all the way up to standing. And then exhale. Hands to the heart. Coming to our first standing pose. Samasthiti equals standing pose. So feet can be together, feet can be hip distance apart. Roll the shoulders away from the ears. Lengthen through the crown of the head. Come back to your intention. And then we'll release the palms forward, shoulders away from the ears. And now we're in Tadasana, mountain pose. Now if you can think about mountains, like think about breathing all the way up from your feet, all the way to the crown of the head. And as you exhale, settling into the support of the earth. 2 more breaths, just like that. Exhaling. Last one. Now let's inhale, take the arms out and up. And now we're going to take a crescent like we did at the beginning of class, but now we're standing, right? So I'm going to come over to the right. Now, if you want, with this left foot, you can bring it behind you. I know before when we were on the back, we did this, which you could do too. But I like this, gives you a little Thanks. I'm grabbing my wrist, bending the elbows for my space for my neck, drawing the ribs back in. So the tendency is for them to kind of pop out here. And that way you're like compressing in the low back. Draw the belly in, and that way you're really opening the chest as you press them over. Inhale to center. Exhale to the other side. Inhale to center. Exhale, cactus the arms rather. Shake your neck out. Let's open the chest a little bit by hands interlacing at the low back. Feet can be a little bit wider than hip distance because we're about to take a forward fold. Now, you'll see how my shoulders kind of came forward. Roll the shoulders back and keep this activated. Now, my elbows can stay bent. My hands can stay on the low back if they need to. So as we inhale here, lead with the chest and the heart. As you exhale, begin to fold forward. If it feels okay, straighten the elbows and draw the clasp hands away from the low back. Shake the head out, but continue to draw the shoulders away from the ears. Exhale, release the hands to the earth. Inhale, come up halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, roll it all the way up to standing. And exhale, hands to the heart. Come back. How you feeling? How's everyone feeling? Okay. All right, inhale, arms out and up. Let's take that crescent over to the right once again. So now we're going to just kind of add on. Now from here, kind of extend out. So we're trying to check our balance. And then we'll bring our knee into our chest. Hand can come to the heart. And then we're going to fold and come into a seated chair. I think we did this last week. Or maybe it was the week before. So here in our standing half chair, keeping the foot flexed here will protect the knee. Now, you can just stay right here. If you want, you can try to reach for the earth, bend the knee more. Ooh, that's going to get really into the hips, so be warm. And then as we come out, release, and shake it out. Inhale, arms out and up, and let's crescent to the other side. And then we'll check our balance by kind of coming out into this star shape. Knee into chest, hand to heart. Then we'll take it down half chair. And one side might be stronger than the other, as you see. And then if you want to reach for the earth, you can. Bring it all the way up. It may not be the same. Shake it out. Inhale, arms out and up. Exhale, cactus the arms, shake the neck out. Go ahead and fold forward. We'll come into Uttanasana. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, send your left foot back. We're going to come into a lunge with the right foot forward. I'm going to lower to my left knee. If this doesn't work for your knee, then you can go ahead and keep it lifted. That's just a little more active and a little more different. The main difference is if my back knee was lifted, I would want this front knee to track directly over this ankle. Like no negotiations, right? With the knee down, you have a little more leeway of this knee passing the ankle. We just want to protect our knees. Now with my standing arm, I'm keeping a micro bend and it's directly underneath my shoulder. My right hand is going onto the thigh, not onto the knee, to press into there, to the meaty part of the thigh, to roll that top shoulder back. Maybe I'll lean back, maybe my gaze goes up, maybe my arm comes up. But you're still sinking the hips forward. Relax the jaw. Top arm can go back, gaze down at your bottom thumb. And then as we release, we're bringing that right hand to the inside of that right foot, coming into a lizard pose. So for our first lizard pose, still getting to the hips and then growing here. So you can stay as long as you bring your right shin towards your right forearm. That will get more into the inner hip. Or if you kind of come to the knife edge of your right foot like such, you'll be getting more to inner groin. Your choice here. If you're feeling like you want to already go down to your forearms, by all means, do so. Today's not my day for that. If you want to stick your tongue out like an iguana, go ahead and do so. Now from here, we're going to come into a pigeon pose. This is one of my favorite little transitions. I walk my foot over to my left wrist. Now in pigeon, the more parallel your shin is to that front of the mat, the more of an intense hip opener this will be. So if you know in your pigeon you need to put a pillow underneath your right glute, you can do so. You can also take this pose on the back if you need to modify. And by that, it's just a figure 4 on the back. So it would look like right ankle crossed over your left knee and hugging behind the left thigh. All right, so choosing whichever one works for your body best today. If you're folding forward, you can take that more passively if you like. You could also come into left forearm, parallel to the front of the mat, taking a little twist. Sometimes that feels nice. Now I'm rooting into the top of the left toe pad back here, but if you want, you can reach for that pinky toe side, open the chest, and take a little twist here. Ooh, feeling it in front there. Release, maybe fold forward, or just take a few moments, see what comes up for you here. Bring ourselves up, walk those left toes in. Go ahead and release. We're coming to a tabletop position, so you might need to make some circles with that right hip. And come through our tabletop. If you feel like you want to do a vinyasa or anything like that, coming through downward dog, I'll leave that up to you today. I'm going to stay on the earth. But I am going to bring my left foot up and back, and as I exhale, I'm bringing my left foot forward now. So I'm coming into that low lunge. I'm going to stay on this side so you can see what's happening on the back side of my body. But the same things apply. I'm still left knee, a little bit of room to track over that left ankle. Right hand directly underneath that right shoulder, but I'm keeping it micro bent. Pressing into the top meaty part of that left thigh to roll the left shoulder up so you can see what's on the back side, and then I'm lifting that top arm up. So the idea is that I'm trying to draw these shoulder blades towards one another on the back. Top hand goes back, gaze down to your right thumb. Inhale, bring it up, exhale, left hand to inside. So we're coming into that iguana pose. So here's either drawing that shin towards the forearm or coming to the knife edge of that left foot, coming into the inner growing, sinking the hips forward. Maybe sticking the tongue out like an iguana or a lizard. And then as we start to come out of that, walking that left foot over towards the right wrist, now setting up for pigeon. Know whichever variation that you need to. Here. So I'm going to take that twist again. So I'm going to bring my right forearm parallel to the front of the mat. I'm still using that meaty part of my left thigh to take the twist, rooting into the top of the right toe pads. Perhaps we're reaching to that pinky side. So I'm not just hanging out here. I'm kicking that foot back into my hand, and that's what's giving me the stretch of the front of my right leg. Release. Fold forward if you need to. Then we'll walk ourselves back up, come into our tabletop position, maybe making circles with our left hip. And then we come back, inhaling cow pose, exhaling cat pose. Maybe taking it back, child's pose. Moving with the breath, just wringing the spine out. Tuck the toes, downward facing dog. Head out the feet if you need to here. Inhale, look at your hands, walk your feet forward and meet your hands. So we come into Uttanasana, forward fold. Inhaling up halfway, exhaling, folding. Inhaling, bringing it all the way up. And exhaling, hand to the heart. So check in with yourself for creating a little more heat here. And then palms forward, shoulders down the back, Tadasana, taking that breath, the grounding breath, all the way up from your feet to the crown of the head. And as you exhale, back down into the earth. 2 more times. Inhale, arms out and up. Let's take our crescent over to the right. Let's check our balance. Oh. And we'll bring our knee in, hands to heart. We'll come into our half chair. Maybe reaching for the earth if you need to or not. And we'll lift up. Let it go. Inhale, arms out and up. Crescent over to the left now. And I forget that this app mirrors, so I might have been saying the opposite side this whole time because it's like IGTV. Some of them are a little bit different coming out. And then knee to chest, hands to heart. Oops, see, you might lose your balance. Half chair. Either taking it to the earth or just chilling as you come out. Let it go. Inhale, arms out and up. Exhale, fold it forward. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, send the left foot back, coming into the low lunge once again. Now you can stay with your hands on the earth, or if you want, you can bring your hands to your thigh. You can bring your arms up or take a cactus arm if that's better for you. Feel like opening the chest, you can have your hands interlaced at your low back. Sink the hips forward, let your neck be loose. And then you release, left hand directly underneath left shoulder. We'll take that twist, inhaling here. Right arm comes up. Maybe reaching that right arm back, taking the gaze down towards left thumb. This opens up the right scaling of the neck here along behind the ear all the way out to your pinky. As we exhale, windmill that right hand to the inside of your right foot, coming into lizard pose. So now you might feel a little more warm in the hips and growing. You may want to come down to that forearm. This isn't happening. Maybe you have a little pillow and you can kind of bring the ground up to you. Relax the jaw, send the heart forward like cow pose. Continue to draw that right knee in towards your right forearm if you're doing that, or you're coming to the knife edge of that right foot. Bring it up. We'll walk that right foot over towards the left wrist, coming into our pigeon pose. Either folding forward or taking the twist, maybe reaching back. Yogi's choice here. Observe the mind as you exhale, let it go into the earth. And then we'll begin to release this posture. So if you're folded forward, or come forward or back up, and then we'll release that right knee, maybe making circles with that here in your tabletop position. Back to tabletop, inhaling cow pose, exhaling cat pose, sorry. I might have said that backwards. And then we'll be on this other side. Inhaling the left foot up and back as I exhale the left foot comes forward. I'm coming into my low lunge. So you can keep both hands on the earth. You can bring the hands to the thigh, sinking the hips forward, or like we said before, cactus here, or you can interlace. Now, if I'm taking the interlacing, now I'm taking the opposite thumb on top, and it might feel a little bit weird. No worries. Sink the hips forward, relax the jaw. As we exhale, we're going to take that twist, the right hand directly underneath the right shoulder. Release that hand back, gaze down towards your right thumb. As we exhale, windmill that left hand to inside of the left a foot. So now coming into your lizard, if you need to, grab that pillow and bring the earth up to you by all means, coming down to the forearms if you need to, sending the heart forward. The tendency here is, as you could see, I was puffing up in my upper back. Stick your tongue out if you need to. Keep drawing that left knee in towards your left forearm. Walk it up. Walk that left foot over towards your right wrist, coming into your variation of pigeon. So taking the twist if you need to, maybe reaching back. Or folding forward at any time in your pigeon. If you're folded forward, you're going to walk yourself up. We'll walk those right toes in. We'll come back to our tabletop position, maybe making circles with that opposite hip. And then inhaling cow pose, exhaling cat pose. And then we will sink it back to child's pose. Now, since we did mostly hips today, if you want, you can take the knees wide, letting the toes touch. That will be more hip opening. If you're feeling like you still need to breathe into your low back, you'll keep your knees together. Your forehead may not touch the earth here, but you will feel a little more of a stretch in the low back area. Come back to your intention. And then from here, we're going to slide out onto the belly. So from the belly, we're going to take just a few cobras here. So let me face this way. Touch my T. So you can do these Sphinx poses as we did before. If you want to take a little baby cobra, a traditional cobra here, just taking a few, moving with the breath, inhaling up, exhaling down. Now the pubic bone stays rooted into the earth. And then from here, make a little pillow at the front of the mat. I'm going to show you from this side. We're going to come into a shoulder opener, but it can be a little tricky. So I'm going to take my left arm out to the left here at shoulder height. Now we've done this one before, but if you have tight shoulders, this hand may need to come closer to the hip. So kind of making like a watch on, like the hand of a watch. And then I'm going to rock onto my left side. This top foot is coming behind my left knee, my bottom knee. My head is on the earth. So from the front, what that looks like here, I'm using this front hand to kind of give myself overpressure. My temple is on the earth and relaxed jaw. So you can use this and rolling back on it as much as possible. If this is not intense enough, you can try to take both knees up to the ceiling. Ooh, that can be intense, just so you know. We're on the left side right now. Breathe, relax. Surrender into the support of the earth. Then we'll come to the other side. So now I'm rocking onto my right side. The left foot comes behind my right knee. Then we'll come back to the belly. Now from here, this is going to be fun. We're just going to flip ourselves over like a pancake and be on our backs. just like we started. Take a nice long stretch. And then come out to that X shape. We're going to explore just like we did at the beginning of class. So now I'm coming into that banana crescent shape and just observing the difference here. Like, how does that feel than when it did at the beginning of class? Come to neutral spine. We're just taking the crescent, the banana crescent shape on both sides. So now I'm coming over to the left. And back to center. Set yourself for bridge pose. So your feet will be hip distance apart, knees pointing up towards the ceiling. Maybe the fingertips graze the heels. And I'm going to bring my elbows into the earth, palms facing one another here. As I inhale, I'm just going to lift my hips and my pelvis up towards the ceiling. I'm not gripping in my glutes at all. And exhaling, rolling down, vertebrae by vertebrae. Now, if you want to do this and incorporate the arms, you can. I sometimes like to keep the elbows and the palms facing one another because I feel like it helps my spine stay in alignment and I'm not wobbling out as much. It's a little more open in my chest. Rolling it down on the exhale. But if you wanted to incorporate it, would look like such. Inhaling. Now the arms are straight and palms face up. And the idea here is that as you exhale, you're going slow enough with the breath that the small of the back touches down at the same time the palms touch down. Yeah? Okay. 2 more times. Just neutralizing the spine. And then hugging the knees into the belly. Apanasana. Inhaling the knees away, exhaling the knees into the belly. The next time the knees come out at a 90-degree angle, go ahead and open the arms out to a T, or they can even be a cactus shape. Exhale the knees over to the right, coming into a twist. Inhale to center, and then we'll take that over to the opposite side. Inhale to center. Exhale, hug the knees into the belly. So you can make those rowing motion like we did at the beginning of class, just to kind of see. And we're coming into our last final movements here. So if you have a shoulder stand practice and you like to do shoulder stand here, I would invite you to do so. You don't necessarily have to do that. You could just take legs in the air here. Sometimes I like to pump my hands like such underneath the sacrum, palms face down. You can still feel all the grounding energy that we did coming in through the feet, moving its way down the ankles, down to the knees, down into the thighs, into the groin, into the belly, into the heart, into the throat and the chest, to the third eye. Now, if you're in your shoulder stand practice and you have halasana or plow pose in your practice, you can go ahead and do so, taking a few breaths there. Once you move through your sequence and you want to meet us into a modified fish pose, that's where we're going. So from here, if your palms are underneath your sacrum, I'm bringing my elbows along my side body, pressing into my elbows and forearms as I start to lower the legs slowly. using my core. So now I'm pressing into my forearms and my elbows, lifting the heart, pointing the toes. It's like I'm trying to put weight onto the crown of the head, but there's actually no weight there. Your lips will automatically purse, hence the fish posture modified. This opens the throat and the heart so you can speak your truth. One more big breath. Exhale, release. Hug the knees into the belly. Bring soles of the feet together, knees wide for Supta Baddha Konasana, or bound ankle pose on the back. Now, taking the shoulders away from the ears, see if you can unfurl your tailbone, if that makes sense, so that there's a nice length all the way from the crown of the head to the tail. See if you can maintain your tail into the earth as you begin to bring the soles of the feet up towards the ceiling. Happy baby. Maybe rocking from side to side like a happy baby. So maybe you're smiling here or not. And then if there's any form of posture your body is craving to do, by all means, I invite you to do so. And just if you do any twisting, you'll do something symmetrical like happy baby or Apanasana. Otherwise, you'll begin to unfurl out into your final relaxation posture of Shavasana, or corpse pose. You could also take a seated posture for meditation. Allowing yourself take a nice big breath as you exhale, release. We'll just take a few breaths here. Softening the skin around the musculature. Settling into the earth with every exhalation. Settling into deeper relaxation. And then just bringing the attention back to the breath, back to the body. Inhaling fully, exhaling fully. All the way out to your fingers and all the way out to your toes. Maybe beginning to wiggle the fingers and the toes, maybe making some circles with the wrists and the ankles, just starting the body awake. Can bring the arms alongside the body. Take a nice long body stretch if you're on your back, even if you're seated. Let it go with the big sigh. That felt good. You want to do it again? Nice long body stretch. Let it go. If you're on your back, you're going to bring your knees into your belly. Just give yourself a hug. Rocking on your low back from side to side. So you just rock over to one side. If you're already seated, you're already where we need to be. And if you're on your side, you're just taking a moment or two to find the strength. Use the strength of your arms to bring yourself up to a cross-legged seated position. Hands at the heart, eyes closed. Back to your intention, just observing if anything shifted for you today in your body. Let's thank our bodies for all the work that they did today. I want to thank each and every one of you for taking the time to show up. That's the hardest part sometimes. So it's been my honor and privilege to be able to share my practice with you. The light in dark in me sees and acknowledges the light and dark in you. Namaste, yogis. Thanks so much for coming to class today.
I have 3 more classes to teach with the Bounty and Soul. There is, if you happen to check the schedule on the site there, we also have Zumba available, and these are all at no cost to you. You just have to sign up in the link that they have. And once again, if you have any questions, of course, you can always, the answers are within, just kidding. Drop a line here in the chat. I love to hear feedback from you. Otherwise, we'll see you next Saturday, yogis. Until next time, have a beautiful, beautiful Saturday, and I'll see you then.